Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jack. Now, I've been getting asked nonstop as to what my main is going to be for The War Within. And for those who are used to the content on the channel, yeah, of course it's still going to be Priest. But for those who are new, especially those who haven't checked out our live streams, we're now co-streaming on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, if you ever want to check it out. I've been playing a variety of healers for a really long time, but my main has been my Priest for 10 years, and part of that is going to continue into The War Within. But we're also going to be changing some things up on both what we're playing regularly on stream and some of the content on this channel. So, for the past 10 years, yes, I have been maining Priest. Since the end of Siege of Orgrimmar to today, I've gotten every single cutting edge for all of those raids, including things like Unat and like the Crucible of Storms, mini raids, the works. And every single M+ season, I've gotten title. Most of the time it's been on my Priest, but I have done some multi-classing quite a lot over the years. In a rating perspective, from BFA to Shadowlands, I was maintaining 4 healer characters most of the time. It was Priest, Paladin, Shaman, and Monk that I was both doing split runs for Heroic and oftentimes for Mythic when I raided with Future on EU and when I raided with Imperative on NA. There was way too much raiding. And now my guild Incarnate on Tichondrius is only requiring 2 characters total. And so I am going to be not only having my Priest as my main to get myself started with and to be progressing into the raid, but I'm also going to take on to myself to be maining really or playing a lot of 2 other healer characters along the way. Because the concept of a main is a lot more flexible, I would say, nowadays. In Dragonflight Season 2, I, of course, was making like Holy Paladin guides, and I actually ended up getting higher IO on Paladin at the end of that season than I did on my Priest, but both of them ended up qualifying for title. And if I can replicate that going forward into The War Within, I'd really like to if there's a season where Priest is not as good or might be struggling. I think in the incoming raid, you're going to see Disc in the Race to World first, more so than Holy, but I think for most guilds from like Hall of Fame onwards, you could really be playing either of them depending on what you're more comfortable with. For me, I'm going to be playing what is going to best help my team on these respective boss encounters. And for a Mythic Plus perspective, while I'm definitely going to be grinding crazy amounts of Mythic Plus at the start on my Priest to get geared up and be ready to help my team because raid is going to be the priority early on, I'm also going to be playing 2 other healer characters. Those 2 other healer characters can change, but I have a couple priorities for my list. Starting with Priest. Yes, I'm going to be bringing Priest forward and continuing with the same content, still writing the guides for Discipline and Holy, for example, and those things are not going to be changing. But I'm also going to be playing one character that's going to be likely flavor of the month, whichever one is looking like super stout, super powerful. And then my third healer character is going to be whichever one I am really just having a lot of fun with, regardless of its power level. At the end of the day, it's a game, and fun is what it's all about. And even educational resources like our sponsor today, Boot.dev, agree that fun is key, especially for when you're going to be learning back-end web development. Boot.dev does an excellent job of teaching you from start to finish in both Python and Go's programming languages how to start from the bottom and work your way up. They believe the best way to learn to code is to make sure that you're never bored along the way. So they've created an online, self-paced RPG game with all kinds of resources to track your achievements, XP, your levels, and complete quests along the way as you're learning. They believe, just like in WoW, the best way to learn is by doing. So with all of their modules, they have you writing tons of code just from the very beginning. Boot.dev so heavily believes in their product that they never want you to be spending any money on something that's not actually helping you. So they offer, of course, a 30-day, no questions asked refund policy and free demos of all of their courses and interactive features. Be sure to click the link in the description box down below and use my code AutomaticJak to get 25% off your first payment for Boot.dev. That's 25% off your first month or your first year, depending on the subscription you choose. Huge thank you to Boot.dev. Now let's continue. So if the game came out just today, what would I end up playing? Well, like I mentioned, Priest, of course, and with Disc and Holy, depending on the encounter, how I can best help my team, whichever one is going to be, fun, enjoyable in a Mythic Plus environment, although I guarantee you I'm going to be getting all the 10s and onwards with both of the specs. But for those alt characters, it would really end up being Shaman and Paladin At the moment, again, with the knowledge that there's a whole bunch of changes that could be happening around the corner, very honorable mentions to both Preservation and Mistweaver Monk, as I think both of them are super, super fun at the moment. But Paladin has been a healer that I have really wanted to play and enjoyed playing for an enormously long time. It was actually my first healer character back in like Firelands time, Cataclysm time, and there's been so many moments where while Priest has been like the main for my content and YouTube channel and streaming, honestly, Paladin has been like right beside it the entire way. It has been that healer that I've always played for split runs. It's always a character I've been very familiar with and very much enjoyed. And the War Within is really bringing back a lot of those fun feelings for me of the bursty spot healing, the huge control that you can have over saving a life, and the triage healing that a Paladin has historically been known to do really well. And so it feels like Paladin's back, even though Blessing of Summer has not yet been removed, and we're still praying on its downfall. But the other one is likely to be Shaman. Now, it's kind of tough to say which of these healers is like the fun one and the flavor of the month one, because at the moment on beta, they're both incredibly powerful. But part of fun, to me at least, is making sure I have the tools I need to help out my group. And there's a lot of moments where I have felt like powerless in a Mythic Plus environment as a priest, regardless of whether it's holy or disc, that I feel like I can't stop the mobs. I can't stop the damage from happening. I can't make up for mistakes as easily as some of the other healers in the War Within's beta. So Paladin and Shaman actually do that in a variety of really strong ways. And while I've had a really close connection with Paladin for a long time, Shaman has just so heavily grown on me over the course of beta that I think it might also be time to bring this forward as like a main alt or something along those lines. Mainly because the control of Shaman has been strong for ages, but really the only time I ever pushed on the spec was like Shadowlands Season 3, something like that, like prime Vesper Totem days. And I pretty much just like got into groups because I was doing a bunch of damage and didn't really have a good depth of familiarity with the spec. I played it in a variety of PTRs, I played it in Dragonflight beta, and I never really did a lot with the spec at all in Dragonflight. But since playing Shaman in beta, how smooth it is to use Totemic and the extra chain heals you're getting, the mob control you have, you know, the crowd control you're bringing to the table, the dispel profile you're bringing to the table, it has been so much more enjoyable than previous iterations that it's really kind of like pushed me to say, like, I really need to make sure I'm reconsidering this spec at the moment. Mistweaver has very much been a healer that has been like very close by. Again, next to like Paladin, it's always been another healer I've been very familiar with for split runs. And like I mentioned in BFA, I spent a ton of time playing with it. In Mythic Plus, I actually spent a crazy amount of time playing it at the end of BFA with corruptions and the insane, like, unlimited hot extensions that you could put together in the Nyalotha raid. I had so much fun with. At the moment, I really enjoy it, but it doesn't feel too different from what we've seen already in Dragonflight. And so in some cases, I'm like, yeah, I've already played this. I've already kind of done this. Whereas Shaman feels a little bit newer and a bit more fresher. That being said, I'm sure my decisions can change for those two, and they can certainly adjust. Or I might just end up playing 4 characters or something at the start and have a kind of like an incognito character and do another round of like 0 to hero the way I did in the past with Resto Druid. But going forward, what the content is actually going to be on this YouTube channel and on the stream going forward is I am going to be making our usual priest guides, both on Wowhead for Holy and Discipline and on this channel as well for Raids and Mythic Plus. And then I'm very likely going to be making more videos going over which of those healers I'm maining, making Mythic Plus guides for them, probably having breakdowns for healing difficult bosses and everything like that. Like extra tips and tricks as well that I've like kind of found or gotten more experience with going forward, and making sure that the channel as we know it is going to be having Priest, of course, heavily featured, but it's not going to be the only thing that we have going forward. I really want to make sure that I'm spreading, you know, my proverbial wings and experiencing a lot more healers and continuing to branch out with them, because it's just been a lot more fun having that variety on hand. I've always historically like played a lot of alt characters, but I never really had a lot of depth with playing those characters. And it's kind of high time that we make some changes for that. And I really think that a good depth of knowledge for those is pushing up for title, maybe doing some alt mythic runs or something like that if mythic rating gets any sort of easier access for the average person to be doing. Those things would be fantastic. Actually, they are, aren't they? Yeah, I'm pretty sure mythic rating is going to be like cross-realm from the get-go. Citation needed. Pretty sure, though. So, needless to say, if you guys want to do some mythic alt runs or something like that, we can get some characters geared, because we got some very fun plans for the War Within, and I'm extremely excited to be digging into it. I know there's been a lot of times I've been banging the drum on how much healing needs to change, but at the end of the day, this game does healing just better than any other that I've experienced, that I've played, and I really want to make sure it's as good as it can be, and I really want to make sure that I am experiencing everything it has to offer. So let me know what you guys are maining for the War Within. Let me know what kind of content you think is missing or you think I should be working on for the new expansion. I'd love to have your input. And thank you for watching. Thanks for checking out our channel. And huge thank you to those who are supporting the content and making it happen, both with our Patreon, our Twitch subscribers, our YouTube channel members. If you ever like to support, check it out in the description down below. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all next time.